I'm Brad Sugars. Welcome to Business Basics. What we're going to look at today is a simple subject, but it also can be made overly complex. And if you're one of those people that overcomplicate stuff, please just try and simplify this with me. We're looking at the law of vacuum, and, well, in essence, the law of vacuum is pretty dang simple. Nature abhors a vacuum. So the more simple or more English way of putting that is that everything grows to fill the available space. I want you to think about areas in your life where that's true. Look at your garage, look at your closet, look at all the different areas where, when there is space, things will go and fill it. Nature of getting rid of a vacuum is a really interesting concept to understand for us as business people. You see, as business people, we need to understand that for something to grow, we need to create the space available for it to grow. If there isn't space for it to grow into, then obviously it can't grow as a business. Now, if you want to, if you want to make this as simplistic as you possibly can, take a look at how businesses go. It's amazing to me the number of businesses that always just make enough money, they always do, they make just enough money to pay their bills. It's funny that. So whatever the space is that's available, the amount of bills that need paying, they make approximately that much money. Now, if they're not making that much money, they'll do stuff to make that much money. Why? Because there's a high level of, passion involved in paying their bill. If you look at it from a big business perspective, big business has one major advantage over small business, and that is that they have a board of directors, a series of shareholders, the media, all putting pressure on management to not just pay the bills, but to grow the company, to get growth out of the business, to look at how they're going to actually grow it and create a bigger business. So there's always a demand for more. There is always space for them to grow into. There's always somewhere for the business to go and grow into. When we look at it from a small business perspective, most often the small business owner is constricting the growth of the business by only limiting it to, their own needs. They don't have a demand for growth. They don't have a demand that says, we want 30% year-on-year growth. These things don't exist for most small businesses. If you take a look at your business and the law of vacuum, how many employees you have, how many customers you have, what's available, what's the ability to cater to more. So often I see business owners where they sit down and say, we would do a lot more business, but we can't. Well, let's take a look at that. Let's take a cafe, for example. Well, you've got a cafe. What hours of the day are you going to be busiest? Obviously the morning breakfast rush, the lunchtime rush. When are you going to be the most busy? So maybe looking at increasing your business is the hours in between of those hours. There's many different ways that we can apply this, but to understand it very, very simply, very basically, if there is no room for growth, something can't grow. If there is no room for it to continue growing, then it can't grow. If it can't grow, it's got to die. So we've got to make sure there's room for growth. We've got to make sure there is the ability to attract more. We've got to make sure that in our lives that we have a vacuum that's available to be filled. If I give you a few simple examples of this, having kids, definite vacuum builder. Getting married, definite vacuum builder. Buying a bigger house. See, all of these things, they build vacuum that you have to go and fill. So you challenge yourself. If you look at goal setting, often that can create a great vacuum. My question to you is, how can you create it in your business? Oftentimes in business we create a vacuum simply by putting a big wall chart up that talks about the things they have to achieve during the week. If you see a big wall chart in your office that says 50 leads a week, that you have to get 50 new prospective customers a week, and you have to write their names on a chart, then all of a sudden you now have space. And when you walk past that chart and you see it's not full yet, and you get to work. So, remember the law of vacuum. Everything grows to fill the available space. Make sure you give it some space. I'm Brad Sugars, and these are the Business Basics.